Welcome to another video on game development with Asha Akanksha Foundation. In today's video, we are going to make another new game which is going to consist of a skateboard which can go left or right according to users input from the keyboard, and there would be a ball that would continuously bounce across the room with the across the walls, and the skateboard has to prevent the ball from touching the ground. So that's the game, and we will be designing the UI and the controllers for the ball and the skateboard in this video. So I hope you really enjoy this one. Let's get started.
So now we're going to make the very popular game in which a skateboard protects a ball from falling off the ground, falling off. So basically, the ball bounces off the skateboard, and once the ball again reaches the towards the ground, the skateboard has to protect it from falling off the ground and going below the skateboard's level. So we'll start making that by first adding a button to this scene. Let's just duplicate this tic-tac-toe button. We're going to just place it here. So this is going to be our second game. Let's rename this button. The We're going to name the game to be Skate. So here we've got two options for the player to select, and on clicking we want the scene to be loaded to the next on clicking on skate we want the scene to be loaded to the skate start scene. So for that, let's create that scene, and let's create the skate scene as well. So in the start canvas controller, we need to first add a function just like the one we added for tic-tac-toe menu. So all that function does is uh, one is for menu. So we're going to have open skate menu, and that is going to redirect us to the skate start menu, while the other one is going to be for opening skate itself. So here in the button, we need to add these functionalities. Okay, so there's a typo here. Now if we play, let's make it to first free aspect because the full one decreases the camera quality right now. So it's just to check if we are being redirected to the second page. So we weren't being redirected, and that's because we haven't added these projects to the build settings. So we'll go to the build settings. One second. Let me just add the skate start. Well, I think there something is wrong here. So yeah, we added the skate start. Let me delete them. And we need to add skate as well. So that's done. Let's go back to the game, go and try it out. Yeah, so it's redirecting us to the empty skate start menu. Let's go to that page. Again, shift to full HD. Now here what we want to do is basically copy the canvas from the tic-tac-toe start menu. So we copied that, pasted it here, and all we need to do is basically change the play functionality to open skate and change the title to skate. So let's go back. So let's save the scene and go back to the start menu. Again, decrease the resolution. Yeah, so we have a play or back option. Back is not working. Let's check if the back is added here. We'll have to go to the skate start menu. Firstly, there's a typo in menu here. And secondly, the canvases added would not be the same. So if you come here, the canvas added should be this one. And in so when we copied the previous canvas that was added, the one with the one with no the one in the other scene, and now here for this one as well. We'll have to fix this for the tic-tac-toe menu as well since we have changed the name. So back isn't seem okay. We have no function selected. Right. So if you go to the Mega Tic-Tac-Toe, we have an option to play. And if we go back to skate, we again have an option to play or back. Right now, the neither the play nor the back are working. So we need to open the tic-tac-toe menu start. Oh, it did work. Right, so I have opened the tic-tac-toe start. 1 second. We want skate start. So this one isn't working. we have OpenSCADE defined, which should load the scene. So lastly, it hasn't worked. Let me try to delete. So let's try to, instead of copying, there might be some reference issues. Let's try to create a new button and all for this. So what we can do is not copy the whole canvas, but only the so let's just create our own canvas here. And we'll just copy that segment, the inside of the canvas. Let's fix it to full HD. Change the play button. Add the new canvas. So the canvas does not have the script yet. So we'll add the start canvas controller. Go back to play. Add our OpenSCADE. Let's try it out. We'll change the title 1 second. Let's first. Great. So it did work. Go to back. Do the same here. Add the canvas. Lastly, change the name. Perfect. Let's try it out. Okay, so for back, we added the wrong function. We want to go to open main menu. I'll decrease the resolution so that it's visible in the recording as well. So back goes to these two options. Click on skate, play, it goes to the skate scene. So we'll move to the skate scene now. Add our standard background. It's going to be 2x2 for full HD here. And now we'll try to search for a good skateboard widget on Unity Studio, Unity Store or Google. So I'll go with Google first. Skateboard clip art. So we don't want these horizontal ones, we want a flat vertical one, something like this. This would have worked if it would be transparent. Okay, so best I have is this. We can probably make a better one ourselves, but I'll just go with this one right now. I'll save it into my assets, or I can in fact, so this is skateboard. I can in fact make this, so the widget size is pretty huge right now, the sprite, but we need a smaller version, just including this frame. So either we can simply edit this image, just crop out the version we need, replace the original image itself. Let's go back to Unity store, Unity, and now let's insert our skateboard on the scene. Well, it's not very visible. Let's bring it to the front by changing the order in layer to 1. Here it is in the center. We level it to -5. Okay, so I changed the scale instead of the position. -4 should be fine. So this is the level where our skateboard will be moving. So the user would have the option to move the skateboard left or right, and we'll write the script for that in a while. But before that, let's add a ball, and that we can do directly from sprites. In fact, we could have created our own skateboard using a rectangle, but whatever, now that we have it. So this is our ball. Let's decrease its size to 0.5. And this ball will be affected by gravity, so it will be a rigid body, 2D. The skateboard will also be a rigid body, 2D, except it won't be affected by gravity. So we will make this gravity scale 0. In fact, we shouldn't, so since the skateboard is a rigid ball, I mean, we just want to allow the ball to bounce off the skateboard, and that's all. So we can make the body type to be just kinematic. So this ball will be moving, while if the skateboard will be moving, while if the ball collides, the ball should fall and collide with the skateboard. So for that, we would have to add a box collider, 2D, to the skateboard. Let's look at the collider here by zooming into the skateboard. So the collider is fitting fine. Go back to the ball and check the collider. Circle collider 2D added. Perfect. So now what we want is we want the ball to bounce off. So we don't want the ball to have any gravity, but instead the ball should have zero. The ball should also be kinematic, and the ball should have an initial velocity in some direction, probably upwards, so that every time the ball bounces back from any surface, the ball again tries to go downwards. So we'll add some colliders on the sides. So let's first add a window here. This is going to be our left side. Let's bring it to the front. The length should be 0.1. and this should be pretty long. Yeah, 10 is perfect. We need to move it to -5. Similarly, we'll create a right. So this is basically a wall. And this one's going to move to 5. And we'll create a top. We'll rotate this one by, so bring it to the center and rotate by 90. Sorry, rotate around the Z axis by 90 and move to 5. Yeah, that makes the wall for the whole game. We'll add colliders to each of these as well. Box collider 2D. Let's remove this one. Now, since the body is kinematic, it's not going to move right now, but we need to provide it an initial force on it. So we will write a script to move it initially. So let's create a script for the ball. And all this does is initially just applies a force on the ball at the start in the upwards direction. So we'll just use the rigid body. So we'll get game object dot get component rigid body 2D. So instead of adding a force, I'm just adding a constant velocity in the beginning. So let's try this out. So one thing to notice, it didn't collide with the walls. And the reason for that is we are using a kinematic and a static object. So both of them, none of them are dynamic and none of them are affected by forces. So that's why there would be no collision. So the ball needs to be dynamic in order to collide with the wall. And now let's check it out. Right, so it did get stopped at the top. So let me just show it again. So it gets stopped at the top. So now what we want is we want the ball to bounce. But this is something that has to do with the material of the ball and not with any other configurations that we see here. So for that, we're going to create a new folder which will store materials. Inside the materials, we're going to create a 2D physics material. So that's going to be bouncy wall with a bounciness of 1 and no friction. So we're going to apply this bouncy material to the ball here. In the collider it got set. So when I dragged it and dropped it on the ball, it got set in the collider's material. So now let's try it out. Perfect. So the ball is bouncing off. This is great. Now the only thing we want is we want to add some horizontal velocity as well so that the motion is not so straight. Now let's check it out. Great. Uh, let's now add a controller for the skateboards to allow the user to move the skateboard around. In skateboard controller.cs, we need to check for the input. So if input dot get key down, so if input dot get key, so if the user is pressing the right key button, which is key code dot right arrow, we want to translate the keyboard to the right. So that is going to be, so first we need the transform object. So transform dot translate, and we pass in 0 1 0. Sorry, 0 1 0 is for y axis. We want the motion to be along the x axis. So that's what we'll add. Else if, or simply if, input dot get key code dot left arrow, we want transform dot translate to be -1 0 0. Let's apply this script to the skateboard. Okay, so the speed was way too fast. Let me decrease it to 0.01. Add an F to convert it from double to float. Well, it's too slow right now. So I'll double the speed or make it 3 times. So right now I'm running everything in free aspect, although this is going to come out as an HD game, and that's why the blank space is there. So our game is ready. Now we're going to add basically a timer that will show how long we lasted here. Okay, seems like we're stuck here in the corner, which would be a big problem for the game. So we'll add a small check that in case the ball does run into a linear velocity, like without any x component, we are going to add some amount of x component to the ball, so that this situation, the one in which we're stuck again, doesn't occur. So the ball doesn't keep oscillating between 0, 1. So for that, we're going to go to the ball controller, and here we're going to check if, so let's create a rigid body and here we're going to assign the rigid body. Here we're going to check the velocity. If rigid body dot velocity is equal to dot x is 0, we're going to make rigid body dot velocity is equal to new vector 3150. Right, so we need a rigid body 2D here. So it didn't get stuck in the corner like last time. In order to increase the difficulty level, we can probably add some increase the speed of the ball with time, so that also right now we have added velocity to the in the right direction in case of velocity becomes 0, but that could be a problem if you're already at the right direction, then it will just oscillate there. So to fix that, we'll just add a check. So the current position is if the current x position, so transform dot position wait position dot x is less than 0, then we want to have a positive velocity, else we want a negative velocity. So if it's less than 0, that means it's in the left direction, and here 1/4 makes sense. So here when we come to the right side, the left side, it should, here the velocity should have changed, so it did change. And now I think it's going to continue pretty normally for a while before we reach the right side. So I think we can end here.
Welcome to another video on game development with Asha Akanksha Foundation. In today's video, we are going to make another new game which is going to consist of a skateboard which can go left or right according to users input from the keyboard, and there would be a ball that would continuously bounce across the room with the across the walls, and the skateboard has to prevent the ball from touching the ground. So that's the game, and we will be designing the UI and the controllers for the ball and the skateboard in this video. So I hope you really enjoy this one. Let's get started.